We are, of course, at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library. It is not unusual to see the late president's sailboat, the Victoria, just outside the library here in the water. And it's not unusual, in fact, Senator Kennedy kept his sailboat, Maya, outside his home in Hyannis Port. That is where I spent the day yesterday talking to people who remember him as a neighbor, as a friend, but most of all, as a fellow sailor.
As iconic as the family who lived there, the Kennedy compound in Hyannis Port, Massachusetts, was Camelot's backdrop. The hideaway on Nantucket Sound provided a base for the globetrotting family. Patriarch Joseph Kennedy, his wife Rose, and their 9 children. For Ted Kennedy, the youngest, this was home.
Someplace we grew up on, learned to swim on and to sail on.
This was his whole life here. He could always go out on his boat and forget his troubles for a while.
Here he and his brothers played touch football, and here's where he first fell in love with sailing.
He talks about being able to sail as a 10 or 12-year-old around the Cape by himself and how much independence that gave him.
Over the years, Kennedy returned to Hyannis to recharge and spend time with his family and to reflect when times were tough. When Ted was diagnosed with brain cancer in 2008, he again returned to Hyannis Port, to his home and to the sea.
His final days were spent in Massachusetts on a little piece of sand that he really loved, and I will miss him.
Is it hard for you to imagine Hyannis without Ted Kennedy?
Massachusetts without Ted Kennedy, the country without Ted Kennedy, really.
It's going to be hard.
Joining me now once again is Peter Canellos. He is a CBS News consultant and also editor of Last Lion, The Rise and Fall of Ted Kennedy. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Before Ted Kennedy died, he was pushing the governor of Massachusetts to change the law so that he would be able to appoint a temporary replacement in the event of Senator Kennedy's death in the Senate, rather than having to wait for a special election in January. That hasn't happened yet, but do you think when the legislature comes back, they'll change the law so they could at least have somebody temporarily in there?
I think it's quite possible, if not likely, that they will, but not a sure thing. So I think that ultimately the people of Massachusetts will need representation in the next 5 months, so there will be an appointed senator.
Any ideas who that might be?
People are talking about sort of an elder statesman who's not going to run for the seat, and the name of Michael Dukakis, the former governor here, has certainly been mentioned. But we'll have to wait and see. When the election does roll around to fill the seat, do you think we will see another Kennedy in there? Is that possible? Yeah, well, there's a lot of speculation. Senator Kennedy's widow, Reggie Kennedy, comes from a large political family. She's obviously somebody who's up to speed on the issues. During this period, she understandably has said nothing about the race. There's no indication that she will run, but that hasn't stopped people from speculating. And also the senator's nephew, Joe Kennedy, a former congressman, has sometimes been mentioned. So it remains to be seen, but there might be a Kennedy running. What about the next generation of Kennedys? I know that Bobby Kennedy has 2 grandsons who are not old enough to run for the seat, but who we could see in the future? Yeah, they're both in public-spirited professions. Matthew and Joe Kennedy IV, they're 28 years old. Matthew works in the Obama administration, and Joe is graduating from law school and is going to be an assistant DA in Barnstable County. Ted himself started as an assistant district attorney in Boston. So there probably is going to be another generation of Kennedys in politics. It's just going to take a little while. Safe to say, though, that even if we don't see a next generation of Kennedy in politics, we will continue to see them in public service, because that's what Ted Kennedy really encouraged them to do. Absolutely. Ted's father, Joe Sr., when he was the family patriarch, he really wanted power and emphasized politics and electoral office. Ted, during his time as the family patriarch, really emphasized good works and charitable endeavors just as much as political power, and that's reflected in the choices that the younger generation has made. All right, we shall see. Thank you so much, Peter Canellos.